Hi. I know, but today's video, it's not about you. I know. No, I know. But you still wanted to say hi to everyone? Oh, that's fine. That's okay. All right. Well, you said hi. Let's get out of here. So I had to start the video with Simba because I can't walk anywhere around the reptile room without him going crazy. So he's in it. Even though in this video, it's going to be talking about your female bearded dragon and how to tell if she's getting ready to lay eggs. And let's hit a couple things first beforehand. These are some big ifs. Not all female bearded dragons will lay eggs if there's no male, but they can lay eggs without being bred to a male, and that's something a lot of people need to know because they think, hey, if I just keep the male out of the picture, her hormones will never kick in, she'll never lay eggs, it will be fine. Or the opposite, people think, hey, I have a female bearded dragon, she's going to lay eggs all the time, if not, she's unhealthy. No. In fact, both scenarios are healthy, although if you do have a male, there's a higher chance that your female bearded dragon will want to lay eggs. And then there's also a higher chance, obviously, if they lay the eggs, that the eggs will actually be fertile and you'll get baby bearded dragons. Because if your female lays eggs without a male, they're obviously going to be infertile. Zero chance of getting any bearded dragon babies. So let's go over a couple signs and things you can do because there's something different in this box because you see a small box with some dirt in it. Now, there's a reason why this box is pretty small right now because this is not the full-size nesting box. This is the box I put in to always check to see if the bearded dragon thinks like she's going to do egg-laying behavior. So let's go over that egg-laying behavior that the dragon does. That way you can know to watch out for it. So normally, after your bearded dragon's brumation, there's a chance she might get into egg-laying mode. Okay, and your bearded dragon is typically 2 years old when this happens. The first time it can happen, although it has happened as early as after the first year's brumation. But normally it's the second one that where it starts. That's when they're normally at the age sexually mature to lay eggs. And some of the key signs that you guys should look out for is glass crawling. So that is pretty much exactly what it is. Your dragon is going to just be trying to climb the glass like crazy. In fact, Archimedes here has sometimes popped up out of her tank because normally I leave the front open, which is fine. I just get her. Sometimes she even goes right back in. She's fine. But if they're glass crawling and anxious in attitude, that means they're probably gravid, which means they're developing eggs. And that's sign one. And that is the earliest sign, in my opinion, to start happening. The second sign is she's going to the bathroom a lot. In fact, it's right down here. What you might get is daily bathrooms from your bearded dragon. More importantly, urate, which is their pee, the solid white mass. So if you're starting to see daily urates, and they'll be small. They're not going to be your normal urate. They're going to be smaller urates that are more frequently. Again, just like a pregnant woman has to pee all the time, it's the same thing. The amount of eggs can push down on essentially their bladder, forcing them to have to pee more often. Okay, that makes sense. The other one is a way to, and this isn't needed, but a way to have your bearded dragon more comfortable when she lay eggs is to provide some kind of nesting box. If you don't use a soil substrate, which in bearded dragons I heavily recommend not having a soil substrate, but if you don't use a soil substrate, the female will feel instinctively the need to dig, to bury, to hide her eggs. So you want some sort of a nesting box. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos. People make these huge nesting boxes. They're really not needed as long as she's got, a good 4 inches, 5 inches to dig into, and something that's at least double her length. in every direction, that's going to make her feel comfortable enough. But you don't need to jump to that type of nesting box right away. Look for the behavior. So if you put in a smaller container with some substrate in it, you can see, does she go in there? Is she digging when she goes in there? Is she showing that type of behavior, like she's scoping out to see if that spot is good for her or not? That's, when you line up the things, those are your top 3 things to look at. There's another one that people should know about, and don't get worried when this happens, but a lot of times bearded dragon female urates, when they're getting close to actually lay the eggs, their urate will contain some blood, or what looks like some blood. The urate will be not solid white anymore. It'll have a little a pinkish hue to it. And that's right when they're getting ready to the end. Now, obviously, if it's dark red and there's a ton of blood or a blood spot or anything, you should get to the vet right away. But if you notice these behaviors and then you notice that urate just has a slight tinge of pink in it, typically she's getting ready to actually lay the eggs within the next couple of days. So that's something important to look for. Also, if you notice your bearded dragon obviously looks like she's got eggs inside of her, you're going to see her balloon up really quickly. That's another great sign. Also, she'll be kind of lazy at this time, but for first-time bearded dragon owners, that is something that is really hard to pick up on, because sometimes bearded dragons can just be lazy all the time. So that doesn't really help. It also doesn't help that they typically get into this mood pretty fast after the brumation period. So they were already extremely lazy normally during brumation, although sometimes some bearded dragons don't brumate or they're not lazy. But you'll typically see after brumation what would be the starting and continuing of normal active behavior, and then into the pregnant type behavior, the egg, the gravid style behavior. So normally there is a small window in between, and that's when you can see, okay, this isn't brumation. And once you've had your bearded dragon, you kind of figure out how long brumation goes for. Roughly, it's not the same for all of them. But if you have more than one bearded dragon, you can see when they kind of go into it and when they come out. And especially after multiple brumations, you become more used to that specific bearded dragon's way. Now, when a female doesn't have a male, sometimes it's extremely common for only one clutch of eggs to ever be laid, the very first clutch. And then with no male, you might not ever see an egg clutch again. Again, that you may never get an egg clutch with no male. And sometimes you don't get an egg clutch even when you have a male. So, that is what it is. But I wanted to answer these questions for you guys because the internet is not really clear. I didn't find one really good spot that hits on all of the behaviors, and there are some other ones, but these are the most common, the ones that you'll have. Keep in mind, guys, again, monitor what's going on. Clean the tank. Every time there's urate, clean out that substrate. Make sure, because you want to keep your enclosure clean. Again, if you do a nesting box, there's going to get some, as she goes in and out, you're going to get substrate into the enclosure. If you can vacuum it up, great. If you have to take everything out, okay. Make sure the water stays clean, because again, now she might be flinging dirt in and out, as she's restless. Monitor the urate, and guys, if you feel like you need to bring them to the vet, you can, that is a possibility. Obviously, with the whole coronavirus right now, that might be harder and you might need to make more advanced, but you want to make sure. And the other thing is, make sure that she's still eating and that you're at least offering food, because this is going to take a lot of energy from your beardie. And also, after the eggs are laid, you should see a dramatic size decrease in your bearded dragon, because she just fired out these eggs. It's really crucial after that point that you're providing her with a really good diet and that you make sure she's eating. Because if not, then you will need a vet, because she needs to rebuild her strength and rest and heal from that egg laying time. Don't pick her up. Don't play her around. Archimedes is really rough for me because I take her out all the time, and I would pet her, and she would be on my chest and sleep almost every night for a couple hours as I did work in my office. I'm just kind of letting her chill, letting her do what she wants to do to make sure that she's not disturbed during this time. Okay, guys, hope this helped. Take care. Hope everyone's staying safe. Bye-bye.